Everybody's microphone should be on, so don't touch the red buttons, please.
Is it?
The middle one done?
I don't know.
Is it working?
I
Yep.
should submit a request for that, IT request for that.
All right, by the official clock, it is now 6 p.m. We'll call this meeting of the Middletown City Historic Commission to order. All right, can we begin by swearing in anybody that is going to give any testimony before the commission tonight? Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that any testimony that you give here tonight will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Can we begin with the roll call?
Roger Daniel.
Here.
Matthew Dixon.
Here.
Corey Carter.
Here.
Andy Brickler.
Here.
Jennifer Chen. Gabriel Schaumling. Robert Scott.
All right. There being a quorum, we will commence the meeting. First matter on the agenda is the meeting minutes for October 10th, 2024. Has everybody received a copy of the minutes?
Yes.
Yes.
Everybody had an opportunity to review them?
Yes.
Yes.
Does anybody have any corrections, amendments, additions that they wish to propose?
No.
We have a motion with regard to the minutes then.
Move they be accepted as submitted.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
The only thing is kudos staff. I know feedback we had was we were going more of a transcript. This format is a lot cleaner and simpler to digest, and I think is what council recommended last time as well. So, thank you.
All right. The question before the commission is the approval of the minutes. That's of the meeting of October 10th, 2024. All in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. All right, the minutes of the special meeting conducted on October 10th, 2024 are approved. Next matter on the agenda is certificate of appropriateness for 1401 First Avenue. Do we have a staff report?
So that application was withdrawn about 2 hours ago, so we can forego that.
All right. The next item on the agenda is certificate of appropriateness for 2804 Central Avenue. Do we have a staff report?
We do. So the requested action is the issuance of a certificate of appropriateness for the replacement of 100-year-old windows with cementon. I'll have the applicant clarify that. Single/double hung vinyl windows. For property history, the property is a 2-story brick residential dwelling built in 1924 with 3 bedrooms, 2 full baths, 1 half bath, and 2,753 total square feet of living area. The house is located on 2 separate parcels totaling just under a ½ acre. The property is zoned R2 low density residential and is located in the Highlands Historic District. So back to the requested action, the applicant is proposing the installation of new windows. Per the Middletown Development Code, no person owning, renting, or occupying property which has been designated a landmark or which is situated in a designated historic district shall carry out any exterior alteration, restoration, reconstruction, demolition, new construction, or exterior alteration, moving of a historic landmark or property within a historic district, nor shall any person make any material change in appearance of such property, its light fixtures, signs, awnings, windows, siding, roof, doors, shutters, sidewalks, fences, walls, retaining walls, steps, paving, or other exterior elements which affect the appearance and cohesiveness of the historic landmark or historic district, without first obtaining a certificate of appropriateness from the Historic Commission or Development Code Administrator as applicable. No permits for zoning, building, or demolition shall be issued without first obtaining a certificate of appropriateness. There are no other permits required for the new windows. As for time limit, the applicant shall submit a completed application. This isn't necessary since there is no other permits needed for the window installation. I did check with our building department. As for appeals, any person directly affected by a decision of the Historic Preservation Administrator or the Historic Commission shall have the right to appeal to the Planning Commission, provided that a written application for appeal is filed within 20 calendar days after the decision, notice, or order was serviced. An application for appeal shall be based on a claim that the true intent of the applicable code section or the rules legally adopted thereunder have been incorrectly interpreted, the provisions of this code do not fully apply, or the requirements of this code are adequately satisfied by other means. No building permit or other permit required for the activity shall be applied for, shall be issued during the 20-day period or while an appeal is pending. The Planning Commission shall consider an appeal within 30 calendar days of receipt and shall utilize the written findings of the Historic Preservation Administrator or the Historic Commission in rendering their decision. A majority vote of the Planning Commission shall be required to overturn the decision of the Historic Preservation Administrator or the Historic Commission. Here is the property location, both in close proximity and from a further away view. Here is the certificate of appropriateness application itself. Here is a picture provided by the applicant. Here are pictures provided by the applicant. And then here is slide 104 of your design review criteria. And that will conclude my staff report.
Are the applicants present?
I believe so.
Do you wish to address the commission? Would any person that is going to address the commission please state their name and address for the record and confirm that they are under oath?
Would you guys mind moving over to these microphones? I don't think that one's working yet. Yes, please.
Push up.
Testing.
There you go.
Hello.
I think they all heard
I think you know what I'm going to say.
Are you okay? We're good?
All right, we're good. Here's Matthew.
Matthew Armbruster, 2804 Central Avenue. Really, the only difference is these are not 100 years old, and they're vinyl. We would like to use the window. It's a Simonton vinyl window. It's an exceptional quality window. Grills would stay the same, color would stay the same. It's just they're vinyl. We're gonna have a local contractor install those. So we're looking for approval before we order them.
And just a point of clarification, we do currently have vinyl windows in the house.
Yeah, in the back
That
of
were
the house. At the
in
new
the rear
addition.
of the house, on the addition that were approved by this commission.
Does any member of the commission have questions for the applicants?
You said that the grills were gonna be the same. Yeah, Does yes. that mean it's gonna be 6/6, like? I can't answer, I can't say yes. That's a good question. I can't say yes to that, but they will be colonial.
Okay, because your existing windows look like they're 6/6.
Yes, they are.
And then, like a transom, there's a kind of a decorative thing above the window.
Yes.
Is that part of the window?
No, it's not. The other thing about this is that which I failed to mention, we'd like to do this in stages. So we'll do the upstairs first, and then we haven't decided exactly when we'll do the downstairs.
But we do not intend for it to look awkward
Yeah.
or out of place. We're trying to keep within the character of a historical home, and we find that the windows that Matthew has found are the most similar that are, well, they're a premium window. They're not a cheap fly-by-night type of window. We wanted to make sure that we keep within the character, and so we're going to be doing that the best that we can.
Usually those grids are applied. So, if you can, I would recommend that you do 6/6.
Yeah, I will.
Because I think it would look better.
Yep, I'll definitely do that. I'll write that down.
Yeah. I was looking at our design guidelines, which are buried in the 1980 Historic Preservation Plan, and what they recommend is that it be replaced with if it has to be replaced, that it be the same materials and hardware. But it does also say that it should have the same number of
Okay.
divided to not, so it doesn't like change the scale and proportion. So the question is, vinyl, wood? I faced this too in our house. It wasn't a historic house, but old windows, they needed to be replaced, and young, without money. So we compromised. My husband wanted to do vinyl. I wanted to do wood. We compromised. We did the vinyl upstairs, and we did wood downstairs, where it's like more visible. I don't know how anybody else feels about that.
So my question to you guys is, just kind of understanding the condition of the current windows, the current wood windows that are there. Can you help me understand where that's at? Kind of what drove you to wanting to put new windows in?
Well, I'm freezing, okay, and I get sick very easily, and I also do work both in my office and from home. Tonight, when we walked in, I could see frost on the inside of the interior windows upstairs, and my office is upstairs, as is our bedroom, as is our kitty cat's room. So we want to start with the upstairs first to try to keep us safe and warm. We do not want to deviate from the historical style. So the 6/6 with the slats and all of that would be fine. It is absolutely cost prohibitive for us to go with the wood windows at this time. And we have been wanting to do this for quite a while, and finally taking the plunge after we did our enormously expensive roof, the pool, the fence, the electric. So here we go with the windows. We're on our way, hopefully, thanks to you.
If there are no further questions of the applicants, thank you.
Thank you very much.
No, I was just saying, they're going to be the same size.
Yes. Yeah.
Exactly. Okay.
All right, we'll open the application up for public comment. Is there any member of the public that wishes to speak in favor of the application? There being no response, is there any member of the public that wishes to speak in opposition to the application? There being no response, we will close the public comment portion of the application. All right. Do we have a motion with respect to the application?
I move that it be approved.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
All right, the question before the commission is approval of the application as submitted. Is there any discussion?
I mean, I voted on a lot of the windows, just so everybody knows where I'm coming from. I'm a no on it. Nothing against upgrading the houses and things like that. But criteria number 6, historical features shall be repaired with the replaced with the severity, degradation, design, color, texture, visual character, right? Being in the Highlands, we've had some vinyl come in over different houses, and it does change the character of homes. I appreciate the windows are already white. I hear that the addition has vinyl already. I think, For me, it's always been a challenge with the windows because, you know, I'm a big fan of historical windows. They're made to be repaired. The new windows you put in, you know, my home has a lot of new windows, and the new additions that were from the early 2000s, they already failed. So I struggle with that piece of it. I understand, trust me, I understand the cold. I'm living that right now. But for me, it's going to be a no just because they are vinyl windows. Nothing against what the applicant's trying to do. It's just, it changes the character of the window.
I've seen a lot of vinyl windows. My parents replaced their windows 20 years ago with vinyl, and they really never had any problem with them. Problem I've had with vinyl is if you go around and you see people that bought vinyl windows at a, you know, at a hardware store and put them in and change the window opening to fit the window versus get windows that fit the opening. Yeah, so I don't have that much trouble with vinyl windows. Vinyl siding is a different issue with me. But even that I'm kind of changing on because there's 6 different grades of siding these days. So anyway.
Well, I'm just, I mean, if we're supposed to go by the guidelines, and then judgment, and I'm not, repairing them, no, I had single pane. Single pane, is that it? Just one piece of glass, that doesn't work for me, but I agree with him about wood, especially on the first floor. I noticed that with our house, when we did that, you know, the first floor, they're right there, people walk by them, so we did wood. But the second floor, we put vinyl, and, you know, you're on the ground, you look up, you can't tell, so I don't know if there's a compromise of.
Features that we're supposed to match primarily are the visual qualities and where possible materials. If we have the applicants telling us that it's cost prohibitive to match the materials and they're proposing a premium replacement that is at least going to match the visual qualities, and the deterioration is progressed to the point where the windows are no longer functioning as intended, I think that appropriate.
The only thing I'd say is, you know, what you said was the cost, right? That's not something this commission's supposed to vote on. You know, I look at 16F, traditional building materials such as wood, brick, metal. You know, that's where I'm going. Some of my criteria for voting no. I'm not trying to sway everybody's vote. I'm just saying this is from Andy looking at it how I read this.
Right, yeah, unfortunately.
All right, there is a motion before the commission. Does anybody wish to propose any amendments there too? All right, we'll call the vote on the motion. The question is approval of the application as submitted.
Roger Daniel,
Yes.
Matthew Dixon,
Yes.
Corey Carter,
Yes.
Andy Brickler,
No.
Jennifer Chen.
No.
All right, we are required to have 4 votes in favor of any motion. The motion has failed. Is there any other motion?
It seems like this is mainly on appearance, and especially in the Highlands. If you go over the street, I dare anybody to tell me, look at a window and tell me the difference between wooden and vinyl, if they're the same color.
Yes.
Years ago, 100 years ago, cars were made with metal. Now they're made with plastic. I mean, come on. The one thing about our house, we sit way back from the street. Everything we have done to that property has been A1, perfect, fabulous. We didn't want to put a shake roof on. We put the best roof other than shake you could put on. Not a problem. We did the additions. We fell right, did everything we were supposed to. No one's going to be able to tell if those are vinyl or wood, and they're not. They won't be able to tell. We'll do the 6 pane without a problem, but I don't see where the argument of someone knowing they're wooden, vinyl, metal, I don't see an argument with that. Again, no one will be able to see it. We're buying the best vinyl window out there. Our contractor's told us he's had more problems with wooden windows than he has vinyl. So that's why we chose that. Our contractor's AJ DeBrosi. So we're having, you know, one of the best, if not the best contractor in Middletown put them in.
I ask you to take a moment and go by our home.
Yeah, drive by.
You will not see a nicer home in the Highlands Historic District that has made exterior improvements that are top-notch and gorgeous. I take the Highlands Historic District incredibly seriously. We are on the corner of McKnight and Central, and the only person that walks to the front of our home is the mailman, and occasionally Amazon if they get the instructions wrong. It does sit pretty far back from the street especially compared to the other homes in the Highlands District. And I completely respect the rules of the Historic Commission and how they were intended, and know that we are fulfilling the goal and the intention of carrying on the historic look. We are not altering the exterior. We are not cutting into walls, enlarging, or making the window placement smaller. They will look almost identical, and we will be able to complete this project. And you can know and trust in us that we will do it in the right way. We could have just put them in and said, I wonder if the Historic Commission will notice, like some of our neighbors. But we do not do that. We do things right, we're very integrous, and we're not going to bite off a project that we cannot fulfill.
We ask for permission, not forgiveness. The right way.
So we ask that you reconsider and allow us to proceed with the windows as presented, with respect.
So the previous motion has failed. We do need to act. We have a quorum. We need to act by 4. Our votes towards any outcome. The outcomes that are possible, to remind the commission, are approval of the application subject to conditions, and tabling the application to the next meeting, or denying the application. Is there another motion?
I move that we accept it as presented, with the proviso that we have 6/6 window appearance.
Do we have a second?
I have a second. I'd like to add, I mean, they're, you know, I live down the street from this house, and it's a beautiful home, and I can tell they take great care of it, and they really are trying. I know the sections and the codes and whatnot, but, you know, I just think that, you know, meet in the middle a little bit if we can, but I would like to second the motion for approval.
The question before the commission is approval of the application subject to the condition that the windows installed be 6/6. Is there any discussion?
At least appear to be 6/6.
Or appear to be
It won't
6/6?
truly be.
Is there any discussion?
I don't know, is there, I guess it doesn't matter. I was gonna say, like what we did was, we did the vinyl upstairs and then we replaced the ones downstairs with wooden ones. You know, that was a stretch for us financially, really, but it just seemed more appropriate, but
If you were in a car 50 or 100 feet from the house, would you be able to tell the difference between upstairs and downstairs?
we're not as far back as they are, but we're at 30, 40 feet.
Now, you know, for me, you know, you can go back on the record, I've voted down every window that's come across me. That's just kind of where I stand. You know, I look at some communities where we change a lot of that stuff, right? I could be persuaded, not necessarily tonight, by seeing more renderings, you know, selling doors and windows when I was in college. And when you do a replacement window, you actually make the window smaller because you gotta cut the jambs out and all this stuff. So if, you know, so it is gonna, there could be a chance, I'm not saying your contractor's gonna do this, but there could be a chance that the opening actually the glass opening becomes 2 inches smaller on each side. Not saying your contractor's gonna do that, I just don't have enough information here to sway my vote for that. So for me, I'm gonna put a motion out there to table it so we can get more information, what it would possibly look like, give the applicants time to answer some of my questions. You know, again, every time the windows come up, I've always voted no on them because I think they can be saved. I think you can there's opportunities for low E-gas, storm windows, different things that aren't as expensive, but are expensive. I totally respect that. But again, I'm not trying to look at it from a financial place. I'm looking at it from a historical perspective. So that's my stance.
Yeah, I mean, we also have a farm out in Madison Township, which is 1865, and somebody put aluminum single-pane windows. It's, you know, it's terrible. But, you know, we're going to replace them one at a time with, hopefully with used wooden windows. And there are storm windows now that are literally flexible. You put them on the inside and just, if you were going to go with one single pane, but I understand it's better than, you know, our house, you had to climb up a ladder with a storm window and hook it on, but.
There is a question before the commission. Is there any other discussion of the question currently before the commission? All right, if you can call the vote, the question is approval of the application and subject to the condition that the windows appear to be 6/6.
Roger Daniel,
Yes.
Matthew Dixon,
Yes.
Corey Carter,
Yes.
Andy Brickler,
No.
Jennifer Chen.
No.
All right, the motion has failed.
I think Andy made a motion to table.
Table.
That was out of order.
Oh, sorry, I did do that wrong.
We have to deal with
There
the
was
question
there was-
before us
there was-
before we
that
can
was
deal
my
with
fault.
any other.
So I'll make another motion to table it, with providing more information from the applicant of what the new windows would look like in that, you know, answering some of the challenging questions of, is it gonna be the same width per se, or is there risk of it being closed in? And then,
Right. Also, I don't know how anybody else would feel, but like the half wood, half vinyl up and wood down. Or,
no,
Know if we'll be able to fulfill your request or not, but I appreciate the fact that you're interested in taking another gander.
And please note that there are 2 members of the commission that are not present tonight. It's only necessary to persuade 4. You already have 3 votes in favor. It's very possible that one of the other members will be present at the next meeting.
Thank you.
Well, we do need to get a second for the motion to table, and then,
I second it.
all right, is there any discussion? All right, the question before the commission is as to table the application until the next regularly scheduled meeting of the Historic Commission. Can you please call the vote?
Roger Daniel,
Yes.
Matthew Dixon,
Yes?
Corey Carter,
Yes.
Andy Brickler,
yes.
Jennifer Chen.
Yes.
All right, the motion has passed. The certificate of appropriateness, the application for a certificate of appropriateness is tabled until the next regularly scheduled meeting of the Middletown City Historic Commission, which will be held on, do we have the date?
19th, December 19th, I think it was just said.
Yes, it's
It
on
should
the
be
agenda.
December 19th.
December 19th, 2024.
And instead of a flat denial, you have a chance next time. Right?
Now, what they need to do is tell us,
The
especially
size,
the width,
the width,
Right.
the width,
with the window opening now.
I don't need, yep,
This is what it would be.
correct.
After AJ puts it in there. Tell AJ, I said, I know him.
He did our kitchen, too, so.
Okay, I'll do my level to get that done.
I'm
Is it,
sorry, we were
is
not
it
able.
just the width?
The width and the height, just the full, the opening size does not change.
Right, because sometimes I don't know the mechanics of it, but yeah, the sides are wider for some reason with the vinyl. It didn't happen with the wood ones that we put in. I don't know.
I don't think it has to with the vinyl either.
No, it does not.
I'm sorry, we're unable to resolve your application tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you for appearing. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for your consideration. We'll be back.
Good one.
All right. The next item on the agenda is a certificate of appropriateness as for 224 Yankee Road. The development code having been read before the public meeting on one occasion, do we have any motion with regard to the reading of the development code?
I'll make a motion not to have staff read it.
We have a second.
A second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll waive any further readings of the development code, save for any requests by applicants or public.
All right, so for 224 Yankee Road, the requested action is the issuance of a certificate of appropriateness for driveway addition and curb cut on the south side of the home in accordance with the previous location found in historic documentation. The driveway expansion is proposed to be 6 inches thick, not think, sorry about that, 10 feet wide and 18 feet long from the sidewalk. As for property history, the property is a 2-story residential dwelling built in 1904, according to the Butler County Auditor, with 3 bedrooms, 2 full baths, and a total of 1,964 square feet of living area. The house is located on one parcel that equates to just at 0.1 acres, and the property is zoned R3 Medium Density Residential District and is located in the South Main Historic District. And again, the proposal of work is the driveway addition and curb cut. Here's the Middletown Development Code that I will not read. A zoning permit is needed, so this must be issued prior to the zoning permit being issued. Here is the time limit. And I already have the zoning permit on my desk, so that's not necessarily an issue here. And here are the appeals. And here's the property location in close proximity and also in a larger view. Here is the certificate of appropriateness application submitted. These are the 2 attachments that are referenced in their application provided by the applicant. As you can see here, here is the what was the existing curb cut?
Yeah.
And then it's kind of dark, but here is where their proposed driveway is going to be going on the left side of the house, if you were looking at the house from the street. Here's your design review criteria. Both applicants were not able to make it tonight. They did want me to let you know that, and they asked that you approve anything with contingencies if you have any questions so that they can proceed with the project. And that will conclude my staff report.
Applicant not being present, we will proceed to the public comment portion of the application. Is there any member of the public that wishes to speak in support of the application? There being no response, is there any member of the public that wishes to speak in opposition to the application? There being no response, we will close the public comment period. Do we have a motion with respect to the application? Does the commission have any questions for staff?
I guess the driveway is going to be where that honeysuckle bush is.
What it looked like.
Yeah.
Okay.
Except it's not going to be, well, I'm not sure if you call that a driveway. I guess it is. But they're basing it on the photo from historical photo, but it doesn't go into the yard.
Right, so there was,
Stops.
I can't explain why that was there, but there was intention to probably have somebody put a driveway there. It just was never constructed, and then the curb cut went away, and now they would like to add it back.
I mean, I get wanting to have off-street parking, but there's only a couple houses on the whole block that has driveways. And it was just purchased like in May, so they bought it knowing that it didn't have off-street parking, so,
I think he's rehabbing it.
yeah.
Ohio Property Restoration LLC.
So if they bought it thinking that they could do that, I guess they should have researched that before they bought it.
Going to be, the drive's going to be awfully close to the property line, in fact,
Yeah.
right on it. Do we,
Right. Yeah, the one next door to them has one too, and it's got, a bunch of cars parked in it all the time.
Looks right on the line too.
Hmm?
I said
I
that
will
looks-
say, in terms of zoning permits, we do not worry about lot lines. That's not controlled by the city. So, like, if you were to construct a fence on your neighbor's property, all we're concerned about is, did you get a zoning permit, and is it principally permitted? So as for what you see here, especially on our zoning districts, they're estimates pulled in from GIS. They're not truth.
but the neighbors did receive notice of this application?
So there's not public notice required for just outside of a historic designation. So, no.
But I think we're looking at the historic effect of the driveway as opposed to the zoning effect and some of the other things. Anyway, I make a motion to accept it.
All right, do we have a second?
I'll second that.
The question before the commission is approval of the certificate of appropriateness as submitted. Is there any discussion? There being no request for discussion, if you will call the vote.
Roger Daniel? Matthew Dixon?
Yes.
Corey Carter?
Yes.
Andy Brickler?
Yes.
Jennifer Chen?
No.
All right, the next item on the business is the tabled application for certificate of appropriateness for 207 Stanley Street. All right, do we have a staff report?
Yes. So I basically pulled what was given to you guys back in August and then added the pictures of the work that was done in the completed project. So what you see before you is basically the same PowerPoint that you saw back in August. The requested action is for the issuance of a certificate of appropriateness for the replacement of the porch roof only. As for property history, the home is known as the Anna M. Bateman House and was constructed in 1907 and is a craftsman for square style. The proposed work is to remove the existing Lido tile and replace it with shingles. The porch roof is in disrepair, and the cost to repair with the existing Lido tile is keeping the owner from performing the repair. Here is the Middletown Development Code. There is still a building permit. Well, a building permit would have been needed prior to the issuance of the certificate of appropriateness. Here's the time limit. Here's the appeal process. Here's the property location. Here's the certificate of appropriateness application. Here is the quote to replace just the porch roof itself with tile. Here are pictures of the work being done, and here is the shingles compared to the existing tile. More pictures of the work being done. And then the finished product. And then here's your design review criteria, slide 1 of 4, and that will conclude my staff report.
All right, is the applicant present?
No.
All right, we'll open the public comment portion of the application. Is there any member of the public that wishes to speak in favor of the application? There being no response, is there any member of the public that wishes to speak in opposition to the application? There being no response, do we have any motion from the commission?
But it's already been done.
It has already been done, but we still had the concerns about the appearance, the visual appearance of the tile that was,
Right.
of the shingles that were going on the roof.
Right.
Which is to say that we had much of this information before and did not consider that an unconditional approval of the application was appropriate and needed more information, and also to consider what alternatives they had considered to the proposed materials.
They didn't provide us any images of what they were proposing the shingles to be. Now we see them.
So two things for me, and one is, looks like the applicant just submitted what they sent us the first time, so there's nothing new.
Well, there's,
I believe we had the work done the last time, right, as well?
Yeah.
Yep, so I believe these photos are the original photos from the original COA? Or the staff packet, sorry.
I think we had them at the special meeting when it wasn't on the
Okay,
agenda.
sorry, I'm getting blended, sorry. And then my next question is, the original applicant date was 6/27. Is there any concerns with that, with the way, since we tabled it, and does that hinder us in any way?
No, because we had tabled it on the basis that they had submitted an insufficient application.
Okay. Thank you.
Namely what they wanted to put on, what the shingles they wanted to put on would look like. Again, we aren't supposed to consider the cost. Yeah,
And again, every time I hear cost, my hair on my back goes up, because that's not
Right.
what we're supposed to
Yeah.
even put in criteria. The thing I look at it from my perspective is, is if you look at what's on the roof today, the actual house, it's not a tile shingle or a tile roof. Again, I think if the applicant was here and we could have some conversation around it, that would go a long way for me. Again, we gave them opportunity to come with more information, and they decided not to or did not, I don't know.
Well, I think they were provided an erroneous letter that stated their application had been approved.
Oh,
And then they got a second letter.
sorry.
That's what I'm
not, your
confused on.
Work had already been
I'm glad you got a
commenced.
good memory. You're right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's why I thought it was the one that we sent 2 letters out. One saying they were
It is.
approved.
That's
yeah.
right.
It is.
so
How about that piece?
So,
how do you
They
deal
were
with that?
ultimately told they were approved.
yeah.
So,
But I think it was corrected within a very short period of time, though, wasn't it?
Yes, but they had the contractors
Yeah.
ready to start immediately. So as
So that
soon
was-
as they got that
yeah.
letter,
He even left his hammer up on the roof.
I mean,
Somehow we have to find a way to discourage
yes, that's the
work
good
being
word.
done before they have the COA.
There is. This is something I actually
thought
asked
they did.
about. They are double font, or
They what?
they're double feed when they submit for their permits if they're doing it after the fact. So I did look into that since that was brought up.
well,
And then another question.
Even though Andy
Boy.
doesn't think we ought to talk about money, how much is the,
I mean, that's not much to pay. a
So
fee
for
twice.
roofing, they actually don't need a zoning permit. I don't know what the process is for building, but I do.
for buildings?
I'm fairly certain it's cost driven is what their fees are. So I couldn't tell you what they actually paid for their building permit. I didn't look at that, but
Okay.
I was gonna say that, I mean, what was on there and what's on the rest of the house has that raised pattern, and it's gone on this, and it doesn't show it from the photo that they provided. It just looks like a flat roof, but it has those edges that come down and are visible. I mean, the color matches.
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't want to, for me, I look at it, right, and I've walked by this house many times since it's been put up, and I've tried to look from the street view and everything. It's cohesive, right? To go a dimensional shingle versus a 3-tab and all this, you know, I think that's more principle for me of, you know, we have COA process, we have process to follow. I understand that staff at the time made a mistake and sent a letter out. That has to come into the equation of that. I'm not going to fault the applicant if they did receive a letter. I know we tabled it to get more information to see if the applicant wanted to come. But right now, as it sits, I would be in favor to approve it. We tried everything, in my opinion, we've done everything we could do to make it right.
Right. Yes, I would prefer that we hadn't happened that way, but because of the mistake, it's kind of not their fault, so.
Yep.
All right, do we have a motion?
And it's not horrible.
I'll make a motion to approve as submitted.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right, question? Oh. Question before the commission is approval of the application as submitted. Is there any discussion? There being no discussion, we call the vote.
Roger Daniel,
Yes.
Matthew Dixon,
Yes?
Corey Carter,
Yes.
Andy Brickler,
Yes.
Jennifer Chen.
Yes.
All right, the next item on the agenda is case study for 619 Baltimore Street, in the Oakland Conservation District.
We already denied the application, so this isn't like, we're just talking about the history of it. Sorry.
All right. Do we have a staff report on it?
I pulled what was pretty much before you guys, when you guys denied the demolition permit. So I can run through that, but other than that, I'll let you lead the way. So the requested action was for the issuance of a certificate of appropriateness for the demolition of the existing single-family dwelling. As for property history, the home was built in 1904 with a total of 1,652 square feet, with 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. The city has performed numerous work orders on the property since 2021, including but not limited to trash removal, mowing grass, and boarding up the windows and doors. So here is a picture of the letter from Larry Tuttle to the property owner out in Texas regarding that the demolition was moving forward because their appeal timeline had closed. And then pictures of the property itself at the time of their demolition request. And I did have a chance to look just before I came down here today that the boards are off the windows. I believe it is the owner is maybe being a little bit more responsive based on the comments and activities I was looking at in our system. But I don't have the full information on this. I didn't know where you guys wanted to go with this case study, so I will let you lead the way.
All right, I believe that the object was basically, we're finding out that there's been a procedure to demolish a structure in the historic district that had been apparently reached its zenith months before our certificate of appropriateness was requested, and we had no idea that there was anything going on. That we want to figure out a process by which the city can let us know that there are endangered properties so that we can and try to initiate enforcement proceedings ourselves, or potentially order that repairs be done and liens imposed on the property, which is one of the things we'd like to discuss with the city manager, to see if we can set up a program and get a budget and some staff time devoted to trying to save these structures before that we're reaching the point where, okay, we've had nothing, now we're here to demolish the building.
I kind of went back just to look at the history of what happened. All of the, okay. All of the, what do you call it? Complaints were all tall grass and trash. And occasionally, like 2 or 3 times, a door was open and needed to be boarded up. And I just can't see tearing down. It's actually 2-family, it's not single family. I can't see tearing down a building just because you're tired of, mowing the grass and billing them. That, especially in a time of housing crisis, and especially for contributing, this is considered a contributing building to the Oakland Historic District. And, well, there are several parts to this. So it was just tall grass, and it was just like, it was only like once per year. And this one in 2021 dragged on because they were going out there. It looks like a whole page and a half, but it's just the one incident, and they just kept going back like every 4 days. And then there was a lot, which was then they had the wrong address for the property owners, so there was some back and forth, and each one of those was an entry. It's just grass and boarding up the windows. And as you noted, we have under 1212.03 and 4 that we can direct that an inspection be done, and that we be told what work needs to be done to preserve the structure, and then we give the owner a reasonable time to do that, and if they don't, then we can order that the repairs be done. And the really nice thing is that we can then charge them a penalty on top of what it cost to do it, but a penalty of 2.5 times that, and an administrative fee. So if it costs $1,000 for us, for the city to do it, and let's say we just had a $500 administrative fee, because you can make it anything that you want, it just has to be passed by ordinance, then they would, if for $1,000 worth of repairs that they could have done themselves, they would have to pay the $1,000 for the cost, the $500 for the administrative fee, let's say, and then $2,500 penalty. So it would cost them $4,000. And I think that is when it becomes prohibitive and they start saying, oh, I guess I'll do this myself, which is what we want ultimately to get is property, because right now we're only fining them, what, $100 each time, plus the cost of mowing, which, and it's not addressing all the problems. I mean, because every time they go out and mow, in theory, or if they board up the house, or clean up the trash, because that's one of the things that can be ordered to do. You can bill them the cost, an administrative fee, and a penalty of 2.5 times the cost of doing that, instead of just, I guess we're charging like $200, I think, to mow it.
I have no idea.
So it's like, you could be under this. That's under the regular nuisance codes, but under this 1212, we have this power to do that and to charge that give them that 2.5 times penalty. There were other things about the way this happened that bothered me. In July of 2023, after these notices going back about weeds and tall grass and some trash, they sent a letter, a declaration, notice of violation, orders to demolish. And it has you can appeal it within 20 days. And I'll come back to something about that. And they did. This is why it's bizarre to me, because that was July 24th. And August 9th, they submitted an appeal request. So when they then in January say that they didn't file in time, that is not accurate. Then they, oh here, actually I have copies of this stuff, so I'm not just saying all of it to you guys. Letters and whatnot. Not the notices or code enforcement thing. So the first is the letter that went out in July. They didn't mark anything indicating what the problem was, but on the second page, oh yeah, there's for you. On the second page, it says that options, you have 4 options, A, B, C, and D, and C is appeal this determination, which is what they did. Now, they did it under this, there are 3 possibilities under C. They did the third one, requirements of code are adequately satisfied by other means. I think this is, I heard you saying this stuff also for the other ones, but if they had done it under C2, provisions do not fully apply in this case. An example is, this building, the building official states that the building is too old to be reasonably repaired and seeks demolition. While there is a dispute on this matter, this is a historical building, and there are other laws and regulations that affect the application of the code in this case. The provisions regarding demolition do not fully apply when reviewed with historic regulations, which is the 12 regulations. So the city was just completely ignoring this entire section. Then the next thing is the email where they said, here, we're submitting our appeal and we can meet with, I guess, Larry Tuttle. And then here's the appeal that they sent in, the demolition response checklist, which is dated August 9th. Then there was this, I'm not sure what happened, but then there was an agreement to stay demolition. It's, at the top is dated the 18th of October, 2023, but the owner didn't sign it on the second page until November 21st, 2023. It says in here, whereas the owner was notified of his right to appeal this declaration and has not exercised that right, which was before August 24th, 2023, which they did. So I don't understand that. They submitted on August 9th. And then around on the second page of this, the owner shall repair the structure located on the property to comply with all state and local codes on or before December 31st, 2023. That's like a month to bring a 120-year-old house up to current code and standards. And that's why I think that they have that clause in there that if it's an historic structure or an historic area, then that kind of doesn't, there has to be a different approach. So it seems like for some reason they want to tear this down. And so they're just like railroading it through, like saying that they didn't appeal when they did appeal, and giving them 1 month to bring a 120-year-old house up to modern code. And clearly that's not a reasonable amount of time, and clearly that's not possible. So they put him in an impossible situation and said, well, we're going to demolish it. I don't understand that. It's not falling apart. It's structurally, appears to be structurally sound. We're just tired of boarding it up and mowing the grass and inspecting it. That's it. And I don't, I mean, it's an historic district. So it's, the city is not following its own ordinances about historic buildings and structures. Okay, that's what I have to say. That's going to be the case study. So this is going on. A big part of it is that the city apparently doesn't know that Section 1212 exists, and they're not utilizing that, option C2. So that has to change somehow. And I was going to suggest that we experiment by doing what we can do in Section 1212. Where is it? Section 1212.05. I guess you guys don't have it, do you? I should have given a copy of that. What it says is,
So I've got it in front of me, Jennifer, if you want me to read it. 1212.05.
yeah,
Okay, so it says, an order of the Historic Commission shall bear the same consequences if issued by the Development Code. Is that what you were looking for?
no, that's the wrong number.
Okay.
Sorry. Where is it? Oh, I'm in 1226, no wonder I can't find it.
Maybe .06, remedies
Well,
for Historic Commission decision.
before that, 12.03, the minimum maintenance standards, which includes structural as well as rubbish, debris, broken windows, doors. It says, it's 1212.03B, and it says that the Historic Commission shall have the authority to direct the Development Code Administrator in conjunction with the Chief Building Official to investigate and inspect any building which, in its opinion, may be a substandard historic building in accordance with this section. That once we direct that to happen, they have 30 calendar days to do that investigation and inspection. After the inspection, Development Code Administrators should relay their findings to us and give written notice to us and to the owner of record, stating, and what this needs to state is the ways in which the building is substandard, and setting forth the repairs, alterations, or improvements to such a building required to correct such substandard conditions or preserve the building, and a reasonable period of time in which the required work shall be done. So when they inspect it and come back to us and report, it should be a list of in what ways it is substandard, and a list of precisely what repairs and alterations or improvements need to be done to preserve the structure.
So who's the Development Code Administrator?
I am.
I don't think I would take her word for.
Well, that's why it's with the chief building official
Okay.
together. This is in conjunction with the chief building official. And the chief building official could come and relay the findings to us.
I will say the only concern I have about that is bandwidth. Quite frankly, I'm stretched pretty thin right now. So as you can see, your former commission member is sitting behind me. She is now one of our program managers, and she will be taking over Historic Commission going forward. She's here to learn the ropes. That way I can try and catch up with some stuff. So the 30-day deadline does make me nervous. I know Larry is very busy himself, our chief building official, so I'm just a little concerned as I'm offloading one commission to start picking up more work.
Well,
However, it is in the code, so I
it is,
will.
yes.
So for me, Jennifer, I appreciate the back history and all the details, I really do. I think for me, it gets really down to a simple thing. The city had their eye on this property for a while, and it came to us at the very end.
Right.
A simple thing would be, hey, city, we've been asking for a year, 2 years, at-risk properties. If we can get early on to those visibility to what some of the ones that the building, chief building inspector's going after, looking at, right? Just so we've got some information ahead of time.
Right.
Because if you look, the way I feel it is the city's kind of putting at the end saying, hey, we've done everything we can. Jennifer's bringing up some valid things in the code.
haven't.
Where there's some tools in the toolbox we could use, but we haven't necessarily used them from a city perspective. So to me, it'd be more collaboration and partnership with the city and the commission.
Right.
Is what I would ask for.
Right,
We can get into all the nuts and bolts of dates and times and all that. I don't want to, personally, I don't want to get into that. I think it's more of a collaboration partnership.
right, that's like one part of it, but the other part of it is, as a case study, I would like to actually go through and do this stuff that we can do, because it apparently hasn't been done for a long time.
So, yeah, and in this house, in this property, you know, I think it's a good case study, but I think there may be some other case studies, especially,
Yeah,
you know, the US Hotel,
right.
you know, I would love to get all the details on that someday.
We can do that.
I know I have.
We can direct
I have some details I can share with you on that.
Yeah, but like, not to cut you off, but we'll get there. Like, I
Yeah.
think there's some bigger ones that I know you've brought up for the last year. You know, is there a better case study that we want to have the city partner with us on, and make this a partnership? Not, hey, you guys are doing something wrong or you're overworked and stuff like that. But it needs to be a collaborative effort, in my opinion.
Right. How can we actually get to where we are knowing about these things before they reach this point?
Talk to the city manager about establishing a program, putting a budget together, assign personnel to do it, and then have them work with us.
I mean, it could just be, I mean, we have the list of the historic structures in all of each application, and can we just have a list? And if it looks like it's in the boundaries of a historic district, and they're as part of just when a complaint comes in, if it's in a historic district and it seems to be an ongoing thing, because they do have these
But there's
lists.
lots of collateral issues. I mean, there are dozens of such buildings that
Right.
could be subjected to a demolition order of this nature.
Mhm.
Some are vacant, some are rental units from absentee landlords, or some of them are owned by locals and used as rentals, but some are owner occupied.
Mhm.
And they all have different characteristics and needs as far as the city goes. I mean, if we identified every deficiency in every historic property and issued a repair order for every one of them, then it would be an absurd amount.
No, I mean, that's not what I'm suggesting.
But we need to have some sort of systemized process to single out ones that we're going to target, and some fund of money to use to preserve them, and some staff person who works for the city to actually administer the program.
And identify them and bring them to our attention. And yeah, we can't order you to do that. That city manager can do that. But we do have these authorities when we know about them. Actually, we were told, you were told, that's why I did those minutes verbatim, because he said that their legal advisor told them that it's up to us to like drive around and find buildings and report them.
Who's he? Are you talking about?
James Metz. said
Oh,
that,
James, okay.
Which is kind of, it's like,
So technically in the code, it does say historic commission can drive around and but
Yeah,
of
we
course,
can.
obviously, that's
but
not going to be a practical solution. But it sounds like it could be as easy just to address this initial issue as when a property that's in a historic district or designated as a historic landmark ends up on the demo list, it comes to you guys at your next meeting and you talk through things that could potentially be in some sort of code enforcement order. Would that help?
before demolition.
Before it gets
Way
to the
before
demo list?
demolition. So, I mean, but how is it gonna turn up? Like, this is only grass and trash.
So do you mind if I interject? I think that development services focuses a lot on those type of nuisance issues because those are the type of issues where our costs can be certified to the auditor and collected as other property taxes. Whereas if we were to go in and do some sort of fix to bring it into compliance with our historic code property maintenance conditions, we wouldn't be able to certify those, and honestly, we would probably never get our costs back for that.
Okay, what do you mean by certify?
Certify to the county auditor for placement on property taxes. That's the easiest and best way that the city can recoup its funds when it comes to these properties.
How far does it have to go before that?
Before it gets certified, it can just be one grass cutting. That's considered
okay.
nuisance abatement, and that can be certified.
But we have the option.
You have the option.
Seek and recover judgment against the owner. I mean, if you can get $4,000 for $1,000 worth of work, wouldn't the city want to
If
do
you
that?
can collect that judgment, but 9
Well-
times out of 10, you're not going to collect it.
Who makes that decision?
Who makes what decision?
That it's not gonna be collected? How does that happen?
So I can actually interject on this on a non-historic example, which is a great example because I'm sure we all are the same as this guy. So he lives on the east side of the town. He was complaining about his neighbor, the fence. There's an RV that's actually behind the setback where it can be. He's complaining that, well, didn't they get a letter about their fence being put up without a permit? I said, yeah, they did. He said, well, he throws it in the trash and doesn't care. And as I talk with code enforcement team, I can often hear that civil penalties, they can just go unpaid. They can decide not to pay.
Literally forever.
We may not work, our minds might not work in that way. We get a fine, a ticket, we pay it. But that doesn't go to say that everybody works in that manner. So that's how stuff can go uncollected, essentially.
And
Also, a lot of these owners are out of state,
Mhm.
live the property.
Like these freaky fast guys.
well, and
Corporations too.
I work for a bank, and I actually used the position I'm in now. Before that, I was actually in legal ops, and I used to do garnishments on businesses. These type of stuff, like, yeah, they'll go to court, they'll go to small claims, they'll do a civil judgment on them. Most of the time, though, they'll close their account out, and it's just, I mean, it's very hard to collect. I mean, I saw it all the time, and I worked that way for years. Is unfortunately, they're just gonna, you may say you owe us $4,000, and they're gonna be like, all right, well, fine. They're not gonna wage garnish them. They're gonna go to the bank wherever they bank, and they'll send it to all over. And then, I mean, they would close their accounts 2 days before they get the letter, and then it's like you lost the money.
But ideally, these are being imposed as liens upon the property
Yeah.
that the city can foreclose on, acquire title to the property, or at least ensure that some other person that has put money in is getting title to the property and satisfying those liens in order to acquire title. And then the property is in the city's hands for redevelopment. So
If it
you
forecloses.
say that they can't collect the money. I mean, yes, that's true, but it's also an in-rem claim against the real estate itself. Now, that even if you cannot extract the value from the real estate is still inextricably a part of the city. Aye.
The problem is the fines have to be so significant to go through the foreclosure process. It's such a time-consuming process, and really the city would spend so much in our legal fees. It doesn't make a lot of sense for most properties. In a lot of cases, it does make more sense to go the demolition route. And honestly, judges often look a little bit more favorably on our cases when we try to recoup our fees if we go the demo route, because we weren't just driving up the cost for kind of no reason or on principle. It's the lowest cost option to abate the nuisance is the way we went with it. But I say that not to advocate for any particular position. I understand that your whole job is to preserve these historic properties. So I'm truly just trying to give you a view into why I think the city is making the decisions they're making with these properties. I don't think it's because they don't care about the historic properties. I really think they're just trying to be fiscally responsible. I mean, for lack of a better word.
But how much does it cost to demolish a building? Like 29,000?
Especially with the land bank.
Yeah.
And it goes back to what I said earlier, was like, you know, I don't think there's a good answer for this. I think it's more a partnership, a collaboration. Like Matt, what you said, is there an opportunity for the city to do something different? You know, the status quo is the status quo. I know the cost, resources, blah, like all that is real. But we can continue going down that path, you know. I've made conversations of, you know, we're the only commission that doesn't have a representative from from council. You know, we're the only one. And that's in the code to say that. I'm challenging why. Does the city not care about historical preservation? And if they don't, that's fine. I get it, right? But I think the city as a whole does. But I think we got to partner with the staff, council, you know, city manager. Just
Right.
how do we get past this point? Going down nickel and diamond, this and this and this is not, in my opinion, is not going to get us anywhere. We need to have a sit-down meeting and have these tough conversations and face-to-face and come up with a solution. Now, what that solution is, we're all not going to agree is the best solution.
Right.
But I can't say, hey, going and finding people, I get it, no one's going to pay. I get why the city doesn't. I don't want the city going to spend all their attorney fees to go after properties when we got other bigger issues. So is there a way we can get staff, council, you know, we did it a while back, we had a council came to one of our meetings, and we talked through some of this. Maybe with the new council and new city manager, is there another opportunity to partnership? That's gonna be my buzzword all the time, is partnership and collaboration. We're not gonna get past this if we're just looking at laws and saying, we got a partner.
And what I had wanted to do was target the preservation of the U.S. Hotel.
Yes.
And I've raised it multiple occasions over the past few years.
Right.
That there are visible deficiencies in it that could be, that need to be addressed,
Well-
that the city could address. And it is one of the key structures of the historic district, one of the key structures of the city. It's a ripe
Right.
area for redevelopment. So if you wanted to use the Historic Commission Authority or the State Nuisance Statute Authority, or the County Land Bank, or any number of other alternatives, it is something that would be worthwhile investing in, but it just continues to deteriorate. I mean, I'm very much afraid that it's not going to be very much longer until we're getting a demolition request
Right.
for it, because it is a hazard to health and life in the city. And
Does the city own it?
No.
And I was gonna ask staff made a comment that they had to update. Could you provide your update, please?
So I have had about 4 meetings with that owner. The new owner, Michela's been in 2? Yeah. 2, I believe. There are big plans for that hotel. Her name's Ashley Thomas. She is in Hamilton, I believe. She has partnered with quite a big team. We met her subject matter expert on real estate. I believe he's an architect designer. I don't think he's a certified architect. But there is quite a team she's beefed up. She's considering a boutique hotel on above the first floor. Commercial use is on the bottom floor. All that to say, she does know she has to come before you. That was brought to her attention last meeting, but it's very much so in the works. I don't know where she stands with funding for the project, but the owner does care. I can say that.
And how about the Manchester? Do we have any update on?
No update on the Manchester.
Rose Furniture.
We actually encouraged the owner of U.S. Hotel to consider purchasing Rose Furniture as well, if anything, to preserve that front facade. And maybe, because parking is an issue for the U.S. Hotel owner, that's something that they want to overcome, and that would be a consideration. A unique development is to have that front facade of the Rose Furniture preserved, and then kind of as you open the door into the furniture store, there's your parking lot, but it's not just a parking lot. It's, as you drive by, it's still a building facade. It's something that our director had seen. I think she was the one that had seen as she was traveling about that was one way to preserve that historic, but also address some parking.
Louisville has that, and on their Whiskey Row, they have a building down there that they've turned into a parking lot. They left the front facade, and then it's actually city parking, but it's actually a flat park too as well, where there's like kickball courts and everything. So there's creative ways you can do some stuff. So to me, it's really exciting to hear that the the current owner is now looking at trying to do something with that. My recommendation would be, you know, if they're up for it, you know, I'd love to have them come just talk about it in one of our new business items.
All right, I will pass that along.
I'd rather that we get partnership with them now rather than way down the road when they've already made commitments.
Is there any other old or new business to be brought before the commission?
Other than Michelle will be taking over, and I'll of course be there to help her as needed, but that would be my new business, but you all know her, so you want to say hi? But that would be it for me.
Well, do we have any information about the people that are going to be joining us or on the commission?
Oh,
2 new members.
other than that they both couldn't make it. One had a family, something happened with their family, and then the other had a business, or their work popped up, and they are potentially reconsidering their commitment to the commission.
I know Gabe is president of PRISM.
The only thing I would add to that I think if we could just send an email to Gabe or whoever, just saying, hey, don't reply all.
Yeah.
And he
It was
submitted
like
a lot
3
of
times I
comments
saw
to
it.
our
Yeah, the
historic
preservation,
thing,
yep.
yeah.
All right, do we have a motion?
I have a motion to adjourn.
A second?
I'll second, third.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. This meeting of the Middletown City Historic Commission is adjourned.
So you're dumping us, huh?